Hi, everybody. It's Miss Gates again. I hope you're all having a great week so far. I am coming to you today to talk about our Black History or African American History Month. And we're going to be looking at a person that you may recognize. You may have seen him before. His name is, and I'm going to show you his picture in a minute here, Martin Luther King Jr. And we're going to talk about why he was important and what he did to make an impact on our world as it is today. So, first of all, why do we even honor African American History Month or Black History Month? They both mean the same thing. We're going to also be looking at figuring out the meaning of words and phrases in a text. So, who came up with this idea? Way back when in 1926, Carter Woodson decided we should take a week out of February and honor those in history who have made an impact on our lives and our country. And then it started because actually Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln's birthdays were in that same week. So they were both influential in helping change some of the way things were. But then they decided back in 1976 that they should do the whole month of it. So we now celebrate the whole month of February, honoring those who have made an impact. There is the guy right there we're going to talk about today, Martin Luther King Jr., and he's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He is Jr. because his dad was Martin Luther King. And this is one of his famous quotes that he said, and it says, "The time is always right to do what is right." Let me read that again. The time is always right to do what is right. So Dr. Martin Luther King was a minister, a preacher, and his father was as well. So he followed in his father's footsteps. And he was preaching nonviolent protests, and he wanted to change the way things were. Because back a long time ago, if your skin was a different color, if it was a darker color, you had to use a different maybe restroom. You couldn't use the one, you had to maybe go way down the street and use one that wasn't as nice. You weren't even allowed to use the same drinking fountains. You had to, if you rode the bus, which a lot of people did back then because they did not have cars, you had to ride, if you had darker skin, you had to ride in the back of the bus. And in the back of the bus back then, there was no air, it was hot, and it was stinky. And also things like movies. If a movie came out, and it was a new movie, you could not see it. Now, is any of that fair? Absolutely not. So Dr. Martin Luther King was working to try to change those things. Now, actually, they were laws back then. There's segregation is a big word, but that's how they separated people depending on their skin color. Now, he did not think that that was fair. He had said all men are created equal, and he wanted us to be treated equally, as we should be. So what happened was a lady named Rosa Parks, and you may have heard of her, hopefully, she decided when she got into a bus in Montgomery, Alabama, that she was not going to move to the back of the bus. And because of that, she got arrested. And Dr. Martin Luther King heard about that. And so both of the two of them got together and decided to work on changing the laws. So we are going to be looking today at a video that talks about some of the important things that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did in his life. And also, we're going to see some clips from the I Have a Dream speech that he gave, which is his most famous speech that was given in Washington, D.C., which is where our government is, our president is. And you'll see thousands of people gathered for the March on Washington, they called it. And you're going to see some of his I Have a Dream speech. So here we go. We're going to listen to this.
'30s Georgia, the heart of the South. A young boy learns what the world's about. He can't play in parks, those are for whites only. He can't go to many restaurants to see the new movie. That's segregation, it's the law, and that means different schools and areas for whites and blacks. And he has a white friend who on one day says, sorry, but my dad won't let us play. Anger begins to boil under Martin's skin. He feels his dignity crushed by the world that he's living in. But he's not giving in, he's studying, debating, follows his dad's choice of an occupation. Becomes a minister, a leader in the church. And the young Reverend King, he gets to work in Montgomery, Alabama, where Rosa Parks is the spark that ignites the fight for civil rights. She refuses to move to the back of the bus, even though the law says that black people must. She's arrested. This is the act that King needs to stand up and fight for equality. He leads a bus boycott in Montgomery. Black folks refuse to ride and it hurts the economy. See, people might ignore your speeches and songs, but they tend to pay attention when their money is gone. The boycott lasts over a year, making news, and King becomes a leader in the civil rights movement. Civil rights are rights that every person should have, but those rights have been denied to blacks, and that's what Dr. King says.
So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream, that all men are created equal.
King was a leader, so he offered guidance and preached the practice of nonviolence with boycotts, marches, and sit-ins, peacefully protesting to get people to listen. The opposition wasn't peaceful in the least when the local police came with dogs on a leash, and they opened up the fire hose on those in the streets. Americans watched the horror play out on TVs. King remembered what Jesus taught, that the remedy for hate is not hate, but love for your enemy. So he kept on, and in 1963, led the march in Washington, D.C. There he gave his most famous speech, where he told the world, I have a dream of a nation where its children wouldn't be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This plea resonated in America, and new laws helped break down some barriers then. In 1968, a white man with hatred in his heart and a gun in his hand shot and killed Dr. Martin Luther King. The nation mourned and wondered what the future would bring. The future is now. If King were there with you, would you tell him his dream came true? Cause Dr. King says,
I have a dream. My 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Dr. King says,
I have a dream that one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children be able to sing with new meaning, my country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. When all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
All right, so listening to the words of Dr. King, let me get this, hold on one second. he said a few things in his speech, and those were, let's see. I'm sorry, hold on. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. All right. Let's see if we can get this back. I'm so sorry. We'll get this figured out. Okay. All right. I think we're back. Anyways, so Dr. King had talked about, I'm going to share one of his quotes here. So using the words around the phrases, around this phrase, I want you to think and tell me what you think that this means. So he said in his speech that I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So think about what that means. What did he mean by that? When he said one day we'll be in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So what he is saying is the content of your character means who you are as a person. So whether or not the color of your skin does not matter, it is all about who you are as a person. So if you're a good person, you're a good person, no matter what color your skin is. And also if you're a bad person, you're a bad person, no matter what color your skin is. And that's what his dream was, for that to be like that in our nation. So I want to share with you, or show you real quick here, a book that I have. It's called Martin's Big Words. It ironically has a award on it called Coretta Scott King Award. And if you recognize the last name King, is also it's an award given by his wife for this book, which is about him. And she has book awards that she gives out to this actually says for peace, nonviolent social change, and brotherhood. And that is one of her awards. Plus, it's got 3. So, anyways, it's Martin Big Words. And in here is another quote that Dr. Martin Luther King had said. In the beginning, it says, he studied the teachings of Mahatma Gandhi, and he learned how the Indian nation won freedom without ever firing a gun. Martin said love when others said hate. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So again, thinking about what that means, hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. That is what Dr. Martin Luther King was trying to preach, was that by hating others that don't agree with you is not driving it out, not getting rid of it. He wanted to show love towards his enemies, which is what he used when he was a preacher, that Jesus showed love to his enemies, and he followed that in his movement that he worked on. So anyways, that is it for today. I wanted to ask you if you wanted to share, if you have a dream for maybe yourself or your family, your country, or even the world. Is there something that maybe you would like to share with everyone, what that is for yourself? So if you'd like to, in the comments below this video and this classwork, if you want to share with us, what is your dream? And you're welcome to comment on each other's if you'd like. And I'm going to stop that. And you all have a great rest of your week. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.